Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Yunxiao's Tiger King chariot sped through the air, and he saw all kinds of corpses and wreckage of battleships along the way. It seemed that in addition to the Merchant Union, many forces in the western region had also entered the Demon Land, but most of them had already fallen. Moreover, there were very few corpses of five-element spirit-devouring rats on the road, and those deaths were all caused by humans. Very quickly, as they advanced, the spirit chi became more and more concentrated. It was as if there were spirit mountains, great rivers, or spirit veins that were exposed to the earth in front of them. Spirit chi was constantly overflowing. What is this place in front of us? This level of spiritual chi is enough for a big force to set up their own sect. Tao Can was shocked. The spiritual chi that was coming at them was so dense that it was even denser than the sacred fire temple's hidden place. Yunxiao's expression was grave. This place seems illusionary, and the spirit chi is faintly discernible. It seems to be a place where the real and the illusionary are combined. Places like this are often protected by extremely strong arrays and restrictive spells. Everyone, be alert. Yi Fan was shocked, he started to be extremely careful. Yun Xiao, on the other hand, had another thought in his mind. He materialized in the Divine Realm tablet and reached out his hand, grabbing Lil Wu, who was about to escape. A baby about 3 or 4 months old was struggling in his hand, his eyes full of hatred. Stop it. Yunxiao ruthlessly patted his young head and laughed. How many years have you been an old monster? Why are you still acting so cute? You won't suffer if you follow me. It's just extracting some soul power, I'll compensate you sooner or later. Lil Wu's face was filled with disbelief and he was still peeved. How many benefits have you gained from this Divine Realm tablet? Yun Xiao comforted him. Without my true phoenix fire and breathing earth, you wouldn't have been able to transform even after thousands of years. Everyone was in the same boat, so they would all suffer together and rise together. Hurry up and tell me, is this place created by the ancient evergreen tree? Only then did Lil Wu stammer, but his voice was still as tender as a baby's. He said, it should be. His aura is everywhere here. Is his main body about to die? His voice was filled with shock. Yun Xiao said, it's such a huge existence, even if it were to die, it would take thousands of years to do so. After he confirmed it, he disappeared from the Divine Realm tablet and his divine sense returned to the Tiger King chariot. He felt the spiritual chi in the sky and carefully absorbed it. Everyone in the Temple of Holy Fire was speechless when they saw him. He told others to be careful, but he started to cultivate as if there was no one else around. This kid really knew how to make use of time. Yun Xiao, on the other hand, had a complicated feeling in his heart. Even divine trees like Xiaowu and Shaoqing, who had been standing on the earth since the beginning of the world, could not escape the fate of falling in the end. Since ancient times, who could be immortal? How many peerless geniuses had pounced forward, wave after wave, to the end of the martial Tao, the path of the divine Tao, but how many of them had ultimately become gods? At this moment, he was somewhat dispirited. The aura on his body also withered along with his mood, as if he had a kind of unstable state of mind. Stay calm. The demonic dragon suddenly let out a loud roar from the depths of his soul. His originally pure soul was tainted with a faint black gas. The dragon chi on the demonic dragon's body burst out in his spiritual sense and expelled all the black gas. Yunxiao's body trembled as he suddenly woke up, his eyes filled with horror. What's going on? His heart trembled. He had actually been in a trance at that moment. This was absolutely impossible for a martial artist, especially one with a firm heart like him. The demonic dragon's face was also very serious. It seems to be the birth of an inner demon. Inner demons? Yunxiao's eyebrows rose as he looked incredulous and said, isn't that the mental demon barrier? How could there be a physical form of demonic chi? The demonic dragon's eyes were also filled with confusion. Could it be related to your demonic sky armor? After all, I've never heard of a profound level weapon refined from demonic chi. And that armor is one of the 5 profound level weapons used to suppress Di Jia. Di Jia looks like a demon in the rumors. Yun Xiao spread out his palm, and the demonic sky armor appeared in its miniature form, emitting rings of fine demonic energy. This kind of demonic chi was not strong. It was very different from the one that appeared on Di Jia and the one he had seen in the Tiandang Mountains in his previous life. The former seemed to be of a lower level and was just a type of power, while the demonic chi of the latter seemed to be able to erode everything and make one fall into eternal damnation. Don't underestimate the inner demon, the demon dragon said. Besides, the signs that appeared just now made me feel that something was wrong. It's best to use the devil sky armor as little as possible. Yun Xiao put away the demonic sky armor and began to ponder. He had Donghai's moon pearl on him, so he should not have been affected by his inner demons. Moreover, he had the bright moon divine body, which could purify all negative energy. The demonic chi was so powerful that it could be seen. The surrounding spiritual energy was getting thicker and thicker. Ordinary people would definitely not be able to see their fingers when they stretched out their hands. Even for martial artists, their vision had also narrowed by a lot. Yi Fan suddenly said, "Does everyone notice? We seem to be walking in the same place?" Yun Xiao's heart skipped a beat. How can that be? Why would you have such a thought? Even with the sharpness of his spiritual sense, he did not find any problems, and the others also revealed puzzled expressions. Yi Fan looked around, frowning. Along the way, the connection between Noah's ship and me has been getting stronger and stronger, but it's dense here, and that connection has always maintained a certain distance. As we continue to move forward, it hasn't changed. His words immediately attracted everyone's attention, and they began to observe the surroundings. However, the entire demon land was a boundless grassland. There was not even a single point of reference, and he had no idea where he was. Yun Xiao was also standing at the front of the chariot, spreading out his divine sense to the maximum, but he did not find anything unusual. However, Yi Fan's senses could not be wrong, so he had to pay attention to it. After a long time, they still couldn't see anything, and everyone couldn't sit still. Yun Xiao suddenly said, "We are indeed walking in circles, we're in trouble now." "How did you find out?" Feng Zhu was shocked. "Have you found a reference?" Yun Xiao's face was calm as he shook his head and said, "There's no reference. You can feel that the spiritual chi is getting thicker and thicker on the way here, but it's been so long, and the density of the spiritual chi is indeed uniform. Only when we reach the core of the spirit vein would it spread out so evenly, but this is clearly not the case. Also, there were so many corpses along the way, but after entering this area, he didn't see a single one. In other words, we've fallen into an illusory formation." Tao Kin took a look at the flying formation on the Tiger King, pointed at it, and said, "But the vitality stones have been worn out, which proves that we have been flying for a long time. If it is an illusion formation, the chariot should be staying in the same place, and the vitality stones won't be worn out, right? We are indeed using primordial stones to fly," Yun Xiao said with a headache. "And we are indeed in the same place. This was an illusory formation that combined reality and illusion. This kind of illusory formation was not something an ordinary person could set up. Even the 7 superpowers might not have one. This is because this kind of formation has its own spirit." Self-formed spirituality? What do you mean by that? You mean the formation has a spirit? Tao Kin was stunned. "Everything has a spirit," Yun Xiao said. "Formations are also one of the things in the world. As long as the Tao of evolution reaches a certain level, it can produce a spirit. However, this is not the case here. This formation is most likely formed from the true form of the ancient evergreen tree." The people of the Temple of Holy Fire all felt it was ridiculous. Yi Fan also said in disbelief, "How is this possible?" Yun Xiao seemed to remember something, and his eyes dimmed as he recited, "Nothing is impossible. And I finally remember that the martial sovereign, Tung Guang, once said proudly that he had set up 7 beautiful and wonderful formations in the realm of heavenly martial arts. I remember one of them was called Water Moon Mirror Flower. How did you know? Yi Fan was shocked. He said in surprise, this means that this formation was set up by the martial sovereign, Teng Guang? This Kasaya, how do we break it? Don't panic, Yunshao said. The array he has set up may not be powerful. Everyone's face was filled with black lines, and Pottery said with a crying face, a formation set up by a martial sovereign king-level expert might not be powerful? Don't tell me you're more powerful than him. Yunshao stopped the chariot and began to look around as he explained, he's purely interested in the study of formations. It's not that the more powerful it is, the more interesting it is. This water moon mirror flower is definitely one of those interesting but not very powerful ones. I hope so, Tao Can replied. We don't know anything about formations, so we're counting on you. All the people of the Temple of Holy Fire looked dejected as they stared at Yunshao. However, after hearing that this formation was set up by a martial sovereign king, they seemed to have lost all hope. Sure enough, after observing for a while, Yunshao said, I can't see any clues from this formation, I can't break it. What? Yi Fan also felt dizzy. Big brother Yunshao, what should we do now? Don't panic, Yunshao said. Just sit down and cultivate with peace of mind. Now, we can only wait. Wait? Everyone's eyes bulged, and Feng Zhu said, will the formation break by itself if we wait? Yunshao smiled. Of course not. Don't forget, everyone. We're not the only ones here. We're waiting for them to break the formation. Although Tangguang's formation is an array within an array, all of the arrays link together but also independent, as long as a flaw appears in the entire formation, I can definitely find it and break it. His very calm appearance made everyone more or less put down their worries. Feng Zhu couldn't help but ask, you're so sure that others can break it? If we can't even break it, are we going to be trapped here until we die? Yunshao gave him a look and said, don't worry. If you can't break it, just stay here and cultivate. The spiritual chi here is pretty good. When everyone breaks through to the peak of the martial supreme realm, one move will be able to break through 10,000 techniques. Any formation will be turned to dust. Hearing what he said, everyone's face suddenly darkened, and their hearts, which had just calmed down a little, were in suspense again. Yi Fan was also vexed and said, Big brother Yunshao is right. There's no use in panicking. The spiritual chi here is better than in our Temple of Holy Fire, so you should hurry up and cultivate. Although he said so, he couldn't calm down at all. The aura was constantly calling him, and he felt extremely irritated. Yunshao gave him a glance, smiled, then closed his eyes and began to cultivate. Teng Guang's formation skills were so high that if he got serious, ants like them wouldn't even be able to touch him. They could only hope that this place was one that was more of a novelty and did not have much power. Otherwise, everyone would have to bear the consequences. What is going on here? He was getting more and more lost. In the beginning, there was still a direction, but now there's no direction. Oh no. Could this be the legendary ghost realm? The illusionary realm that we can never get out of? I've often heard of people who can't get out of this situation, but after a certain period of time, they can get out by themselves. After this theory became common, that place was called the ghost realm. Did we really encounter it? I originally thought that it was an illusion or a natural illusionary formation caused by the weather and that it would dissipate with the change in weather. It seems that this is not the case. This place should be an extremely powerful formation. The two members of the Rainstorm mercenary group followed young Emperor Halian. They felt that their target was becoming more and more absent-minded. His aura was faintly discernible, and he was about to disappear from their sight. The more they walked, the more suspicious they became. Chen Chuanzhou's expression was extremely ugly. It was right next to his own force. He thought that he knew the demon plains very well, but he did not expect that there was such a magical place. For so many years, there had been no such information. There were only some insignificant rumors with different rhetoric, and they had never been taken seriously. Now, it seemed that this place was not simple. No matter what kind of formation it is, since it has existed here for a long time, there's nothing to be afraid of, he said in a deep voice. If we can't get out, that kid can't get out either. Just don't lose him. Their goal was to kill young Emperor Hao Lian. They didn't care about anything else as long as it didn't threaten them. Their figures kept flashing in the illusion, locking onto the aura in front of them, not daring to relax. Young Emperor Hao Lian's doubts grew. Although the people behind him couldn't catch up, he felt that something was wrong. It was as if they couldn't reach the end. He finally stopped, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. He shouted into the air, "Who is it? Since you've lured me here, could it be that you're going to trap me with a formation?" His voice was extremely loud and spread far and wide, but the two people following closely behind him acted as if they didn't hear him. In the center of the formation, Qing's sword-like eyebrows twitched slightly, and a knowing smile appeared on her face. He said, "Rat Emperor, your seduction is too clumsy." He has already seen through it. The Rat Emperor's voice came from the air, "So what? Isn't he coming over? And that's a Dao heart that's fearless. He's wandering around the peak of the 8 Desolation realm. If he doesn't dare to come forward because of fear, he'll never be able to break through." With a single thought from little Qing, the entire formation began to change. The fog around young Emperor Hao Lian suddenly parted like a curtain, revealing a green mountain and clear water. There were birds in the forest, and a stream flowed with a ding-dong sound. Flowers bloomed all over the mountain, and immortal music lingered in the air. It was a sacred place. Moreover, the sound of water flowing in the forest spring made a splash of water vapor, which hit his face. Young Emperor Hao Lian reached out his hand and felt it. Tiny dewdrops appeared on his palm, and his skin felt cool and refreshing. His face became serious. There was no such place in the demon plains. The place in front of him was 100% an illusion, but it was so real, as if he was in it. In a situation where he knew it was fake, he couldn't distinguish any flaws. The person who set up the formation had a profound technique that far exceeded his imagination. But since the other party had guided him here, he would not have any ill intentions. Otherwise, he only needed to activate the formation to stop him and let Chen Chuanjiu and the other two catch up to him. Then, he would be in danger. Thinking of this, he stepped into the green mountains and clear waters. The two people behind him also noticed the change in the scenery in front of them and quickly rushed up in shock. After stepping into the green mountains and clear waters, Hao Lian Xiaowang's figure began to become absent-minded, as if he would disappear at any moment. Squeak, squeak, squeak. All of a sudden, a large number of flying squirrels appeared out of nowhere and filled up the space, attacking the two of them. Moreover, an extremely powerful force seemed to have come from the sky. No one could find its source. It appeared out of thin air and fell on Chen Chuanjiu's head. What's going on? In his shock and anger, Chen Chuanjiu expanded the domain on his body. All the flying squirrels around him froze in the air. The wings of light on his body flapped continuously, but they were unable to get close. Explode. Die. He shouted angrily, and all the flying squirrels within a 10-meter radius exploded into a mist of blood. Then, he grabbed at the air and destroyed the attack that was coming from above. It's demonic qi. The one who attacked is a demon. He frowned and suddenly raised his head, shouting, "Not good, quickly chase." Xiao Huang Haolian had already turned into a faint figure. Not only that, but the green mountains and clear waters also became hazy, and the misty sky was pulled down. You dare to trick me? Heavenly ancient bronze sword, break. Chen Chuanjiu was extremely furious. The broadsword in his hand, which was as wide as a washboard, slashed down from the sky. The entire sky screen was stunned, and it seemed to be retreating. Ouyang Qi immediately attacked as well. He threw a punch at the sky and finally collapsed it. The scenery in front of him shattered like glass, turning into fragments. A green mountain and clear water appeared. Young Emperor Haolian's figure was slowly walking on the mountain path. Chase. The two of them turned into rays of light and rushed over. Qing Zhu's eyes were completely open, revealing a clear look. It snorted, "The mirror flower of the water moon contains the power of spring, summer, autumn, and winter." He stood up, and flowers bloomed in the warm spring. Jiang Lushur doesn't turn, the rhythm of spring. Qingzhu gently pointed its finger forward, and the green of spring immediately flew up, filling the sky with flowers. Spring came. The plants sprouted, the willow trees spread their branches, the plum flowers bloomed, and the peaches bloomed. Chen Chuanzhou's face was as gloomy as water as he looked at the changing scenery in front of him. The broadsword in his hand slashed down with great force, trying to split the sky apart. As he swung his sword again and again, the green world in the spring-filled sky began to fade away. With the power of a peak martial honor, he could already use the rules to change the world. The spring green color around little Qing also began to decrease, but he didn't care at all. He smiled lightly and the seals in his hands began to change. Suddenly, the Rat Emperor's flustered and exasperated voice came from the sky. Little Qing, quickly open the Four Seasons barrier and let Aqua Blue in. The space in front of him dimmed, and the huge body of the Rat Emperor appeared in front of him. Qingzhu frowned slightly and sensed the situation outside the enchantment. Somewhere in the rhythm of spring, the sky full of green had long been replaced by blood, and the screams of the five element spirit-devouring rats could be heard everywhere. The two men walked steadily on the green mountains and clear waters. A golden defensive barrier appeared around them, and the spirit rats immediately turned into a mist of blood upon contact. However, they were still like moths to a flame, constantly crashing into it. Among the many spirit rats, there was a larger Akublu spirit rat with blue eyes. It stared at the two people's footsteps and kept retreating. Its light blue fur was actually filled with pure blue blood. It was like paint, covering its entire body. A large number of spirit rats protected it in the center like stars surrounding the moon, retreating towards the depths of the water moon mirror flower. The two men looked cold and their faces were pale. The two of them were not good people, and their pale faces were not because they had exhausted too much of their vitality. Instead, he had slaughtered countless five-element spirit-devouring rats along the way, so much so that he was starting to shiver. Che Shuyao, how long are you going to keep killing like this? I'm a little scared. We have to kill him even if he's scared, or else what? If the ancient evergreen tree doesn't open up a passage to the water moon mirror flower, we won't be able to break it. I don't believe that we can't break it if we combine our strength. Of course, you can destroy this formation by force. However, don't forget that this is an illusory formation set up by a martial sovereign king using the true body of the ancient evergreen tree. If you and I forcefully destroy it and the king-level expert finds out about it, he will be unhappy. Can you bear the responsibility? Damn, what a headache. So many of its own kind had died, and the last Rat King was right in front of them. Would the Rat King really be able to stand it? Why didn't you open the passage at this time? Let's kill for a while more. Didn't the mist just dissipate? It's just that the illusion here is more realistic, and even we can't see the real situation. If we really can't do it, we'll first capture this water-type Rat King and refine the 5 elements beast taming ring. One of them flicked his finger, and a large number of spirit rats that rushed above the defensive barrier exploded into a mist of blood. The two of them walked step by step toward the water-type Rat King. Little Qing quickly opened the barrier. The Rat Emperor hobbled toward Qingzhu and roared. The hair on its body stood up, and it looked very fierce. The seals in Little Qing's hands became stronger and stronger, but his face remained indifferent. He said, "Rat Emperor, don't panic." The two of them were martial sovereigns of the 9th heaven. If he had wanted to capture Shui Lan, he would have done so long ago. If I'm not wrong, their target is either you or me. If the 4 seasons barrier is broken and a large number of cultivators rush in, you and I will both be in danger. I don't care, the 5-element Rat King is only left with Shui Lan, we have to save him no matter what. The Rat Emperor's aura pressed toward Qingzhu, and it said with hostility, open or not.